On the streets of Sinaloa in northern Mexico, violence has exploded out of control this year as rival drug gangs fight over billion-dollar trafficking routes to the United States. Home to the nation's most infamous gangsters, Sinaloa has suffered from the rise in killings despite the government sending in thousands of soldiers and federal agents. The bloodshed is stunning in its scale and brutality. Beheadings, massacres, execution-style hits and grenade attacks have claimed more than 1,000 lives in the state since January. Incredibly, amid this intense carnage, the only ambulance service is provided by volunteers from the Red Cross. Mostly teenagers and in their early 20s, the medics risk their lives for free out of a sense of community. Time went to spend a Saturday night with them in the state capital, Ioan. 22-year-old Carlos Tiznado explained how tough it is to work in a city packed with heavily armed thugs and gangsters.
It's sad to think we can lose our life, but not in a regular service. We can lose our lives and at the hands of these bad guys, the famous narcos.
It is not long before we are sent out to a violent incident. This young man was shot and beaten, leaving a gaping head wound. The 24-year-old medic, Juan Carlos, is not sure if the victim still has a bullet lodged in his skull. But the Red Cross volunteers, who have become experts in these type of injuries, never try to remove shells on the scene. They take the victim for surgery. So we're here at the city hospital where the Red Cross take most of the victims of gunshot wounds and other violence. Many private hospitals here in Ioan won't accept victims of gunshot wounds because they're worried about security, with many cases of gunmen going into hospitals to finish off victims. I ask Juan Carlos if it is dangerous for them to attend to victims of violence. He tells me a horrific story about how gunmen once stopped an ambulance and shot a patient dead on his stretcher.
Pues empezaron a dispararle arriba de la ambulancia. De hecho, el oxígeno tiene le pegó una bala, le pasó rozando. De que se le hubiera pegado el oxígeno hubieran salido volando todos porque es explosivo, pues. Y pues ya que llegaron aquí, pues todos llorando, las corporaciones policíacas nunca llegaron.
We return to the Red Cross base to find another victim of violence coming in fighting with the police. He has to be held down for staff to stitch up his bleeding head wound. Back on the streets, and we go to where a man has been dumped on the sidewalk with severe bruises on his face. Juan Carlos checks the body, but finds it is too late for him to help. He seals the corpse and leaves it for police to investigate the killing. In the Red Cross, we get reports of more violence breaking out. But this is an incident that the volunteers decide not to go to.
So the paramedic Enrique has been explaining there's been a shootout at a house. Several people are believed to be injured inside the house from bullet wounds, but the Red Cross don't want to go to the scene yet until the police have secured the scene because it's believed to be too dangerous at the moment.
We decide to head down ourselves to find out what is going on. Driving into a rough neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, we get to the scene just as the police are arriving. We find the victims have already died from their bullet wounds, the latest in a relentless wave of slayings with no end in sight. This is Ioan for Time.com in Ioan, Mexico.